The reason I'm not retired is I have a message. You can have an unbelievable wealth building gift in the United States by buying a nice new affordable single family home with local property managers that take care of it for you. I work mostly with extremely busy people, and getting the 30-year fixed rate loan, which in 12 to 14 years will look so tiny that you can build as big a way. I've had people send their kids to Stanford and Harvard and MIT like this, retire, and some people become very wealthy. I have people who bought well over 100 homes. I bought hundreds. It doesn't matter. Each such home is a building block. So, I mean, that's what we talked about the last time. Because I work with busy people and I come from being a busy person in Silicon Valley, the system I created is local property managers. We have markets where my investors and I have bought 1,000 homes, 2,000 homes.
Welcome to the Real Estate Mogul MD podcast. Thanks for tuning in and taking control of your financial future. This is a show where we not only motivate and inspire, we give you actionable real-world experience to help you live life by design. You'll hear journeys and stories from other physicians, investors, coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Brett Riggins. What if the greatest wealth building tool in America is hiding in plain sight on every mortgage form you've ever signed? Today's guest reveals how the overlooked 30-year fixed rate loan can transform your financial future without tenants, toilets, or burnout. We're welcoming back today's guest, Adiel Gorel, for the second time. He's the founder of ICG Real Estate Investments, a TEDx speaker, and the author of Remote Control Retirement Riches. For over 41 years, he's helped thousands of busy professionals invest in single-family rentals across the United States, focusing on the Sunbelt now, using systems that simplify ownership and unlock passive wealth. I absolutely love this. Let's get into this conversation. Adiel, welcome to the show. Hey, this is part 2. So welcome back to the show, Adiel. Thank you so much for coming back.
It's a pleasure to be here, Brett.
And since it's part 2, boy, we talked about so much. Your experience, we're going on year 41 right now. So congratulations again on that. But the experience that you've put together through these years, and it's been compounding, and you've been putting back not only into your own portfolio, but into the portfolio of others, helping others get to where they want to go. And I'm so excited to talk about a couple of new topics today. But before we get there, Adiel, just tell the new listeners, maybe didn't catch that last episode, just a little bit about you, and tell me a little bit about the investment strategy, where we're at right now.
Well, in a short summary, my background is actually all in high tech. I was living in Palo Alto, California. I taught electrical engineering and computer science at the university, got my first job in Silicon Valley. They paid me much more than Stanford did. And I noticed that my veteran, I was very young. I noticed my veteran colleagues, who I thought would be very wealthy after decades of working, and getting paid so much, were actually not. So because my family was in real estate development, I saw the power as a kid, started buying rental homes, realized I couldn't really buy them well in the Bay area in Silicon Valley because the rents were too low relative to the home prices. I did something that was very unusual for the 1980s. I went out of state, started buying in Las Vegas, where the ratio, between rent and price was much better. And I bought a few dozen homes for myself. I had to establish a local property management firm because I was living in California, obviously, and local brokers to find me homes. Pretty soon, my logical Silicon Valley friends wanted to join in, but they were so busy, they asked me to lead them. So we bought several hundred homes in Las Vegas, not as a group, each one bought their own homes, but we discovered that when a person joined and bought a home, he or she enjoyed the clout, the power, so to speak, of hundreds of homes, because the managers didn't want to lose hundreds of homes if they were not happy. And I started liking it a lot, started getting invited to speak about it because it was so unusual. In one of the lectures, there was a reporter for the San Francisco paper. There was an article. I was invited to the morning news, NBC. I started liking it so much, and I saw I was changing my own future as well as the future of all my friends in Silicon Valley, and many doctors and lawyers, and usually professionals, but even teachers and nurses and truck drivers, because I went to affordable cities. And finally, I liked it so much, I left my high-tech life, started our company, and this is year 41, and my investors bought more than 10,000 homes in about 30 markets. We like to buy in the Sunbelt states because that's where the demographic flow goes. Affordable big cities for job diversity, suburbs, the kids go to school. It's like a root in the ground. It's very stable. Brand new homes. I have a magazine article that explains why. I can share it. And getting the miracle of miracles. And that is also the reason why I have not retired. I could have been retired now for 29 years. Why am I not retired? Well, the miracle of miracles is invisible to almost all the American people. The miracle of miracles, the huge gift, is the 30-year fixed rate loan. The only thing possibly in the US economy never to rise with inflation, while everything else, the cost of the tomatoes, the suits, the houses, the rents, the glasses, everything goes up with inflation because it weakens the dollar all the time. So inflation becomes your best friend, effectively, eroding the real value of your debt, building wealth. And we've noticed over decades that you don't have to wait for 30 years. Usually 12 to 14 years, your mortgage looks so tiny as to be of inconsequence. And I have thousands of investors who bought 6 homes, 7, 3, 10, 12, 14. After 12 to 14 years, the loans are so tiny, they have millions of dollars in equity. Sometimes they sell 2 or 3, pay tax even, use the proceeds to pay off the remaining tiny loans. Now they have 12, 10, 9, 16, 24 free and clear homes, retire from Silicon Valley, retire like my good friend from being a doctor, and they're happy. Now, 20 homes free and clear, not enough? Make it 40, make it 60. I have hundreds. So the reason I've not retired is every time I talk to an American and I mention the miracle of the 30-year fixed rate loan, they go, what? What's the big deal? 30-year, everybody, nobody thinks. The only person in the US that got it before I explained it is Warren Buffett. Was in touch with me in 2012, and he gets it. There's even an article in Entrepreneur Magazine about my interaction with him, and he praises the 30-year loan from time to time. The reason I'm not retired is I have a message. You can have an unbelievable wealth building gift in the United States by buying a nice new affordable single family home with local property managers that take care of it for you. I work mostly with extremely busy people, and getting the 30-year fixed rate loan, which in 12 to 14 years will look so tiny that you can build as big a. I've had people send their kids to Stanford and Harvard and MIT like this, retire, and some people become very wealthy. I have people who bought well over 100 homes. I bought hundreds. It doesn't matter. Each such home is a building block. So, that's what we talked about the last time. Because I work with busy people and I come from being a busy person in Silicon Valley, the system I created is local property managers. We have markets where my investors and I have bought 1,000 homes, 2,000 homes. So even when somebody comes in and uses our infrastructure to buy one home, they enjoy the clout, so to speak, the power of 2,000 homes, because the managers don't want to lose that huge account. So they're careful and nice. I try to simplify to the max because everybody I work with is extremely busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Simplifying is sometimes the hardest thing, to be simple.
Absolutely.
And so much out there. And this 30-year thing, I want to just stop there just for 1 second, because when it's something that's just always there, Adiel, it seems like normal. We take it for granted. Yeah.
You were born. See, that's why I'm not retired. Mm-hmm. I started all of this when I was 29. I could have retired very powerfully with a lot of houses at age 42. Today, I'm 71. So 29 years, I could have been retired, not retired, because I have the message of the 30-year fixed rate loan. The Americans were born into it. They think it's normal. But When I speak in Europe, the Europeans go gaga. They don't believe me. They said, "You're insane. It's not possible. 40 years ago, you bought a postage stamp for 4 cents. Now it's 72 cents. 40 years ago, you bought a ticket to a movie for $2. Now it's $15. You go to Whole Foods, you buy an avocado for $3. In 10 years, you know it's going to be $6. And in the midst of all this, somebody's crazy enough to give you a loan that will never move and everything else does. Inflation will become your best friend, build your wealth. And by the way, if the rates go down, on top of all the crazy stuff, you can refinance it down. It's too. When I speak, sometimes there's a little voice in my head that says, "Come on, this is too good to be true," but it's true.
Yep. And one of the perspective pieces, though, too, Adiel, from the other side is trying to withdraw yourself, because you say you watch that loan get smaller or seem small or tiny loan. We get fixated. Okay, $100,000, that's a lot of money. But when you're talking about inflation, what's happening is you're effectively attacking that loan to value. So the value of the property goes up, but the loan amount is getting paid down, staying the same. So you're reducing that LTV, which means you're making the loan smaller compared to the value of the house.
Well, here is a story of my doctor friend. He started buying in his early 40s. He bought just one home because he needed to see that the property managers really take care of all the rental and the hassle, because he was too busy. He was working as a specialist physician. And when he saw that it worked, he understood what I explained about the 30-year fixed rate loan. Also, he wanted to stretch his money. So he put minimal down payments with a big loan that covered most of the house price. And he ended up buying 22 homes. By the way, it's not as impressive as it sounds. At the time he was buying them, they were brand new homes for $150,000 with little money down. For a doctor, it was not a hard thing to do. And then he looked at them in his mid-50s. All his loans, 22 of them, had 17 years left, not even halfway. But he noticed that even though they started out as a high percentage of the home values, after 13 years in his case, they were all roughly 25% of the loan value. So first of all, he was very happy because he had millions of dollars in equity. Mm-hmm. Then he sold 5 homes. He didn't do anything fancy, no 1031 tax, deferred exchanges. Just sold and paid his tax. Used the proceeds to pay off the remaining small 17 loans. And with 17 free and clear houses, retired from being a doctor in his 50s, and he's my good friend, and I decided not to retire. He always bothers me. "Oh, let's go on a trip. Let's go." Hey, I'm working. But that's a typical story.
That's very interesting. And just kind of that perspective piece is what I wanted to focus on too, because when we're born here, we're born into this. It's just that you go and buy your own house, 30-year fixed, right? When you pull yourself away from that and say, wait a second, this is different and this is powerful. It's the same token, that perspective change, that mindset shift on the loan amount as well too. Very, very interesting. What I want to dive into today, Adiel, is a little more about the interest rates.
Yes.
Right. So we're talking about this 30-year fix, and they've gone, in my time as an investor, I watched them go, they doubled. The cost of money doubled in 12 months. And, speaking of Warren, there's something that he said, when somebody's running from something, that's something you should be looking at. When people are running to it, that's something you should be running away from. So this is kind of like, it falls right into there. And we've talked a little bit about this, like the media perspective of the interest rate. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So before I even go to the media effect, let me give a 30,000 foot perspective. So this is year 41 of doing this for me. And I bought my first 30 or so homes in the mid-1980s. Now, if you look back, or if you search, in the mid-1980s, the interest rates were 14%, 1-4. Mm-hmm. Also, in the mid-1980s, Fannie Mae didn't have a limit on the number of loans an individual could have, like they do now at 10. So I, as a young person, well paid in Silicon Valley, but being young, didn't have a lot of cash, I wanted to stretch my cash, and I also wanted to make use of the loans, even at 14%. Fortunately for me, I had a clear idea, because I speak with an accent, So I wasn't born into this, that these are fixed rate loan and inflation will become my best friend. Obviously, by the way, at 14%, inflation is high. So I put only 10% down, which I could do back then with PMI, private mortgage insurance. And in the first year, I bought 22 houses or 23. And then the first couple of years, I bought 30 houses or so, all at 14% interest. Now, you don't have to be a great mathematician to realize when you put only 10% down with PMI even, and then the rates are 14, every one of my houses started out with a negative cash flow, negative. So I asked myself, can I sustain the negative on about 30 homes? And with my good Silicon Valley salary and me being single and young with very low expenses, I could easily sustain it. But I had an understanding. Even at 14%, these loans are fixed. They will never change. The principal and interest will never change. But the rents will change with inflation. And inflation wasn't low at all. So I said, today it's negative. Tomorrow, which could be a couple of years, it'll be break even. The day after, which could be a couple of years, be positive, then more positive, then more positive, then more. That's exactly what happened. If I did nothing else but those 30 homes I bought in my first 2 years, that would have taken care of my retirement completely. But in addition to inflation, taking it from negative to break even to positive to more positive, after a couple of years, the rates went down to 12. 12! We all ran out and refinanced everything to 12. Everything became positive. And then a couple of years later, came the unforgettable day. The media was screaming, single-digit interest rates. We all went out and refinanced everything to 9.95. What a day that was. And everything became really positive. Over the years, those 30 homes were refinanced to 8 and to 7.5. Okay. Now let's go back to the current. So first of all, when 9.95 was very low, when people are screaming that 6.8 that we have now is super high, I don't need to go to any comedy shows or anything. It's funny enough already as it is. But the media now is much bigger than it used to be. It used to be the newspapers, the magazines, the TV. Now it's Facebook and TikTok and this and Instagram and all. It's everywhere. And I get interviewed by the media. And so far, my impression of the media is a 27-year-old living in a roommate with a roommate in a rented apartment. Not a veteran real estate investor, but they write about real estate because the editor said, write something. So media likes to get clicks. And so when the headline is big, sensational, and hopefully negative, you get more clicks. So the media, for many of these young people, the universe is the last 5 or 6 years. So the rates used to be low before COVID, maybe 5. Then COVID came and the Fed lowered rates to the lowest point in history. People could actually get 2.5% on a fixed rate loan. Investors, 3.25%. The media was hyping everybody to buy and buy and buy. But now let me tell you what happened in the trenches, not from a media clicking on a keyboard, but from a person buying homes all the time. So when the rates were at 3 or even less, we only buy brand new homes. So you buy brand new homes from builders. The builders were still suffering from the supply chain shortages of COVID. The media was pumping everybody to buy. Millions of people wanted to buy because the rates were so low. Demand was very high, supply was low. Prices shot up. Builders had so much business, they became very choosy and said, you know what? We don't even want to work with investors because we get much more business than we can handle. We only want to work with homeowners. So investors had to sit on the sidelines. We waited months and months on waiting lists to even try to buy a home. It was a very difficult environment. And the builders were very, very rough with all the buyers. They kept raising prices, didn't give anything back. Now we had inflation and the rates went up. So now they're at 6.8. The media says, what? My universe is only 6 or 7 years because I'm very young. So the rates are 6.8. The universe has collapsed. Life has ended. We're probably all going to die because the rates are 6.8. It's a terrible tragedy. To me, 6.8. Oh my God, that's low historically. But so the media says, sit on the sidelines and do nothing. Millions of people listen to it because when you read something in the media, it must be the Bible. It must be. The media wrote it. Somebody clicked it on a keyboard. It must be the Bible. That's the attitude. So millions of people are sitting on the sidelines. So what happened? Demand went down a lot. Builders in the meantime were building up supply frantically. Supply is very good. Demand is low. The builders are desperate for buyers. They have inventory that they can sell. So guess what? They're very accommodating and very friendly. And they love investors now. And they give you gifts, many gifts. Ironically, the biggest gift is they buy down your rate. We have builders now in some of our markets who will buy down your rate to 4.6%.
Whoa.
So that's ironic, but the media doesn't see this little subtlety. So it's an amazing time for an investor to buy. The builders love investors now. They will buy down the rates in many cases. They will give you this free, they will give you a lot of money towards closing costs and appliance packages. Great time to buy. And rather than wait until the rates go down, as the media says, because what do you think will happen when the rates go down? The media will say, buy, 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 buy. Millions of people, the demand will go up. Supply is not going to catch up. Prices are going to shoot up. It's going to be impossible to buy, very hard to buy. No. So buy now when it's nice and easy. They may even buy your rate down. But anyway, if the rates go down in the future, if they do, because we don't know the future, guess what you can do? Refinance. So that's the strategy of the savvy investor, not the knee-jerk reactor. That's very important. So at a time like this, in many markets, prices have gone down significantly. Great prices relative to what it was when the rates were 3. Easy to buy, nice to buy. The sellers are kind, nice. Buy now. If the rates go down to 3 again, which may never happen, but who knows? I don't know the future. Refinance.
Yeah, that saying of marry the property and date the rate. If you can take the best of what is now, which is the opportunity, and then refinance, it's all about the acquisition. Adiel, I know you know that. Like it's that percent, that interest rate is just a piece of that acquisition. I don't think that I would suggest for anybody to go in so heavy-footed like you did in negative cash flow scenario. I mean, that's risky, right? But it did pay off for you.
Well, again, risky is a relative term. And when I say negative, even back then at 14%, the prices were so much lower than they are now. The negatives were in the 100 to 200 a month. And somebody making a big Silicon Valley salary, or like many of my doctors and lawyers, even teachers, the risk is minimal because we are carrying a big shortage of housing in this country since 2008. The population keeps growing. People need places to live. So the rents are there, and with inflation, the rents go up. And so if you buy a house now and you put 20% down payment, which is a norm, some people even put 25, you are going to start today with the current rates, probably either with slightly positive cash flow, maybe 100 or 200 a month, maybe around break even, maybe slightly negative, 100 or 200 a month. For a doctor, for a lawyer, for a Silicon Valley person, it's completely negligible. The risk is very minimal because there is a big shortage of good, nice new homes in the suburbs to rent. So the demand for rental is very high. You can call it a risk. I don't see it as a risk. And the rent constantly keeps up with inflation, just like the cost of shirts and shoes and the tomatoes and the avocado rents also. But your mortgage never changes. And again, if the rates go down, you refinance, it becomes very positive. The way to look at it is like this. This will completely change your financial future, but not in one day, not in 1 month, and not in 1 year. In 12 to 14 years, your loan is going to be like a joke, and your equity will be huge. So in the first year or 2 or 3, don't expect the property to buy your food, to charge your car. No, that comes from your salary, from your business. But as the years go by, the house gives you more and more and more and more money. And between 12 and 14, you can make it so you don't even have a mortgage anymore, depending on what you did. And now you can even retire. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you don't have to buy many homes. Even people who bought one home. See, I've been doing it. This is year 41. So people tell me, I've seen the results are in. Thousands of people. Even people who bought 1, 2, 3 homes, they say, oh my God, the extra cash flow that I now get after 12 years makes a huge difference in the life of my family.
Yeah. And having that steady source of income to hit this kind of investment strategy is a great foundation to have, because it is perspective. Risk is perspective, right? It's your perspective of this. If you looked at a couple thousand a month and you had, like 12 properties, 13 properties, that decreases.
A couple of hundred.
Right. But I'm talking the negative cash flow. If you had, all right, let's with just real rough numbers, 200. We'll go 200 per property. You had 12 properties, a negative cash flow too, and that's 2,400 a month. Nope. 2,400 a month times 12 for the year, you're looking at about another 30 grand. But if the perspective is that's my investment because I'm playing the long card here, then it does make sense. It's not about risk. It's about implementing a strategy.
And by the way, what you said is completely true, but that's before. In the current environment, many builders will buy down the rate. When they buy down your rate, which I see all the time, to 5.5 to 5, even one of our markets, 4.6. Oh, you start with a healthy, positive cash flow. Mm-hmm. So in your example, it would be like 400 positive multiplied by 12 house, 4,800 a month. That's nearly $60,000 a year. Year one, when they buy down the rate. And it's easy to find markets now where you can buy and they will buy down your rate.
Yeah, and there's so much about that new property too, with the home warranty and like these pieces that make so much sense. The stress of it, the tenant's life as they live there in a quality property. But that's a whole nother conversation.
By the way, with those brand new homes in the suburbs, it affects the kind of tenant that you get. Mm-hmm. Many professional people. By the way, a classic question that I get asked is, why don't the tenant buy? Why do they rent? So many answers to this. Many people, especially in the millennial and Gen Z generations, feel, I don't want to be tied down. I want to be able to move. I want to be able to change jobs, freedom. I want to rent. Many people just don't save enough for down payment. They earn, they spend. Many people are a visiting professor. They don't want to buy. They want to rent for 3 years. There's so many people who want to rent. The number of, I believe the percentage now, don't hold me to it, but 36% of the population in the U.S. rents instead of buys. Very strong rental markets.
Wow. Very cool. So these numbers that you're talking about, if you run, obviously they're going to change in different markets. If you could give us a hypothetical number package, like the property value, the loan, all of this stuff for just a hypothetical property somewhere in the Sunbelt right now.
I'll do you one better.
Yep.
I'll even mention markets by name.
Okay.
So right now, the Phoenix market is too high, meaning the prices went up faster than the rents. Vegas, same thing. Texas is starting to come back. We bought more than 1,000 homes in Dallas before, stopped buying there. In the state of Texas, the property tax is very high, so it didn't work. But recently, because the prices are lower, the rents are higher, it's working. So in Dallas, Texas, DFW is coming back. Raleigh-Durham, our most expensive market. So in Oklahoma, in Mobile, Alabama, in Dallas, you can buy homes for $250,000, brand new. They will rent in Oklahoma for probably $1,600 or $1,700 a month with very low property taxes. In DFW, they will rent for maybe $2,100, $2,200 a month with higher property taxes, but it doesn't matter. It's the same. The most expensive market is Raleigh-Durham, where they will go from the high 200s to the mid to high 300s. Yes? So there the cash flow is going to be slightly worse, but everybody loves a rally. But these are the numbers. And if the builder buys down the rate, we have a builder in DFW and in another market in Texas, which are bringing back as well, once again, into the mid fours. The mid fours, very positive.
Your take on real estate taxes. You said Texas is very high. So what does that mean? So on a $200,000 house, annually, what are you paying in taxes a year?
Well, it depends. The DFW, area is very big, and the taxes vary by region. But it wouldn't be unheard of that on a $200,000 property, you will be paying maybe $5,000 a year in property tax, which translate to about $420 a month. In the neighboring, Oklahoma, on a 200,000 property, you will be paying about $2,300 a month.
Wow.
Which is only $115 a month. But because the rents in DFW are higher by a few hundred, it's in the wash.
What about the appreciation in those two different markets? Is that real estate tax is going to be lower? It's more likely that appreciation is going to be less likely or lower as well too, correct?
Haven't seen that in my history. I haven't seen a correlation like that so far. But when you say appreciation, I don't even need appreciation to change your life. Because once you fully get that somebody was crazy enough to give you a loan that will never move, except down if you want to, everything else goes up with inflation. Inflation is your best buddy, building you wealth all the time. I don't need appreciation. So, when you buy an avocado, a beautiful, organic, avocado at Whole Foods right now, $3. You and I know it's very likely that in 10 years, maybe it'll be $6. The avocado. Are the economists going to say, there has been appreciation in the avocado sector? Really? It's inflation. Inflation. So when the house doubles in value, you want to call it appreciation? You want to call it inflation? I live in the Bay Area. In my neighborhood, a good house will be more than $2 million. 30 years ago, you could have bought it for $150,000. So some of it can be called appreciation. Some of it is merely inflation. The postage stamp used to be 4 cents. Now it's 72 cents. So much higher. Was there an appreciation in postage? Inflation. Inflation is enough. If you have appreciation on top of it, cherry on top.
Interesting. And the inflation, not seeing any relation to that and the real estate tax. What is that inflation kind of even across the board as well too, or is it affected more in different areas?
Well, inflation seems to be fairly even, but then markets have their own local stuff. That's why you need to buy in large metropolitan areas in the Sunbelt states where there's good, and the governance there is pro-business. For example, if you buy in the states of California, New York, the governance is anti-landlord. That's not a very safe environment. But when you buy with those criteria, then yes, typically the behavior won't be the same. But I've stopped trying to guess. When I started buying in Phoenix, in the Phoenix metro area, we bought over 3,000 properties, our biggest market, over 21 years. When I began, people were absolutely ridiculing me. Why are you buying in the desert? Nothing will happen in the desert. What are you doing in the desert? Desert. Okay. Phoenix appreciated really not any less than the San Francisco Bay Area or New York. It's very hard to, it doesn't matter. Put your head down, buy a brand new home in the suburbs of a large metropolitan area in the Sunbelt. Put a relatively small down payment. Get a 30-year fixed rate loan. Let the local property manager lease the home for you. We take care of all of that, and then do the hardest action for a human being to do. Nothing. Nothing. Just wait. Nothing.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
call me and say, oh, there's a war in the Ukraine. I have to sell everything. No, I mean nothing. Let inflation do its job. Actually, the minute you buy one of these homes, two forces deploy. One is inflation, constantly making your loan smaller in real dollars. And one is the tenant paying your rent, which is ever increasing, by the way. Between those two, you set up your future in one of the most conservative investments possible. A single family home in a desirable location in a growing city in the Sunbelt.
And I've worked with other clients like you, Adiel, and I guess I have to be transparent that there's a certain age where I just feel like maybe this isn't the right approach for them. But I mean, what the conversation we had earlier, that's a hunk of crap too, right? Does age matter? Am I starting too late? Like, well, does that still work with this strategy?
Just visually looking at you, I would say, in my world, you're very young, but I am very happy when people call me. Remember, I said this will completely change your life financially between 12 to 14 years. Many people only call me when they're in their 60s because they feel it coming. Still very good. There is a notion that some people have in the back of their heads that at age 65, the government sends a killing squad to get rid of you. No, that's not true. You keep on living, 75, 80, 90. Who knows with all the the technology and CRISPR and all the stuff. Maybe you live to be 107. So the real question is your money going to last your lifetime? That's really the key question. When people call me to get started and they're younger than 60, I'm very happy. I have a lot of people in Silicon Valley who start working with me in their 30s and 40s. That's fantastic because they can retire 12 to 14 years later, and many have. But in the United States, besides the absolute craziness called the 30-year fixed rate loan, we have another craziness. The step-up basis. Let me explain it very quickly in very, very simplified words to make my point. I'm going to ignore closing costs and commissions. I'm just going to make it simple. So let's say you bought a house long ago for $100,000. If you try to sell the house the next day, you'll pay tax on let's say you sell it for $100,000 the next day. I'm ignoring all commissions and closing, just to make it simple. You'll pay tax on $100,000 minus the basis. But you bought the house yesterday, the basis is $100,000. So you'll pay tax on $100,000 minus $100,000, zero. You don't pay any taxes. Now let's say you kept the house for a long time, long time. You depreciate it all the time. It's a rental home. So the basis keeps going down. And let's say the basis has already gone to zero. It goes to zero, by the way, 27 and a half years. Went to zero. And the house is now worth $1 million. Not very uncommon. We've seen it all over. So now you have $1 million home with a zero basis. If you sell the home, you'll have to pay tax on $1 million. Again, I'm ignoring the closing costs and the commission, minus the basis. You'll have to pay tax on $1 million. That's a big tax. Now, one day, when you get to be 160 years old, hopefully, you die. We all do at some point. On the day of your death, the basis steps up to the value of the home on that day. So in our example, you passed away, the home is worth $1 million, let's say. The basis will go to $1 million. The day after you die, your children want to sell the home, they will pay tax on $1 million minus the new stepped up basis, $1 million. Zero tax. That is why I have investors who are starting to buy homes with us in their, are you ready? 80s.
Yes.
There's a retired physician who saw my friend who used to work with her, the physician who retired at 50 something. And she had seen the step up basis when her spouse had passed. So she was aware of that. She started investing with us at 84. She's 88 now, still buying. The stepped up basis. So it's never too late.
That's that's a whole new perspective of holding that and building that I guess legacy, being able to pass that on in a tax efficient way. The strategy tax wise is awesome. Where can people find out more about Adiel, your strategy, your property? You've got to have something out there for the listeners, right?
By the way, one comment about that step up and all of that thing there. So, I mean, she's still buying in her, 80s, not only for the legacy for her children and grandchildren. She's vigorous, healthy. She could live to be 100. It could make a huge difference for her also. Mm-hmm. But regarding the step up basis, sometimes I say the best tax move you can do, not that I recommend it, is to die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But to find us, our website is icgre.com. For 40 years, we have a big event every quarter where I bring in all the relevant markets and they show us their PowerPoints and properties and talk about the market and the economy. Used to be live events, but from COVID, we started shortening them and doing it by Zoom. 4 hours by Zoom. The next event is on Saturday, September 6th. Everyone can join. We don't charge for it. I want this information out there. I take lots of questions. I bring great experts, lawyers and CPAs. Those are great events. The last event was the very end of May. And if people want to talk to me personally, when I decided not to retire, I needed to find a balance in my life. So I make music in my home studio, which is in there. I'm practicing here for a live show next month, in Los Angeles. Nice. I have a health and wellness podcast. So you can find my music on all the platforms. You can find my podcast, all the platforms. But I dedicate more than half my time to meet with investors because I feel like I'm changing their future. So if people want to talk to me personally, go to our website, icgre.com, and set up an appointment with me personally. I love to talk to you. Or send us an email, info@icgre.com. If you want to get those magazines articles, if you want to listen to my TEDx talk, which is only 11 and a half minutes, the PBS TV special, send us an email, info@icgre.com. We'll send you all this material. And in the process of simplifying, we used to charge every investor for my involvement, the involvement of my team, setting up all the management and everything. 20 years ago, I said, let's simplify it even further. Stop charging anything. We are a licensed broker in California, so we split the commission with the local team. It's not much, but it's enough to power the business, which I don't want to subsidize from my own homes. And so now we don't even charge you. Simple.
Oh. So we can go there, icgre.com, set up a consultation with you, learn more about current opportunities in these Sunbelt, affordable, large metropolitan, but in the suburbs, brand new homes that we can get the 30-year fixed on. Is that correct?
And register for the next event.
And that's right, in September. That's awesome. I have no idea how you could have ever squeezed anything into 11 minutes, but I want to see how somebody did that, squeeze you into 11 minutes on that.
Well, it's 11 and a half. That's the secret. It's 11 and a half.
All right. Well, thank you again for your time, Adiel. We've got to stay in touch. I love it, as always. Thank you for coming on the show and just dropping some of this experience, the 41 years, and just compounding that and giving back to so many others. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So if you've been waiting for the right time to start, Adiel just showed you. It's not about timing. It's about understanding. Grab a 30-year fixed loan, let inflation work for you, and set your future in motion. Learn more at icgre.com. As always, thank you for your time. More importantly, thank you for your attention. This is the Real Estate Mogul MD.
This episode is powered by Crescent Tech. If you are looking for a CRM built for real estate investors, discover Streamline REI by Crescent Tech. Simplify, automate, close faster.